Hello, I'm James Michael Tyler. Today we're in Los Angeles with New Yorker staff writer Caitlin Flanagan to discuss her controversial new book, To Hell with All That. Caitlin, thank you for joining us. Caitlin, your book is very funny, but you also zero in on the conflicted feelings that women have about their domestic lives. Does your interest in this subject come from your own personal experience?
It does. I realized a few years ago that I have a love-hate relationship with the inner housewife living within me, and that part of me is a very ambitious person who really wants to make her mark on the world, and part of me is the most traditional 1950s home ec school kid you could ever imagine, who just really cares about her linen closet and about ironing and about raising children in a very orderly way. And I realized there were a lot of women who feel the same way.
Your first chapter centers on the craze for traditional white weddings. What is up with that?
What are they thinking? Long after I was married, for the second time, I went to a bridal showroom at a hotel and I wanted to get married a third time. All of these very expensive and elaborate accoutrements of a wedding, you know, the different flower arrangements that you can have and the gowns and so forth, are really attractive on one level. But what I find really interesting in terms of this book is that women want very traditional weddings, but they don't want traditional marriages. So I realized that married life is starting with this ambivalent note being struck by the woman, this confusion of the sexes, and who are we going to be? Are we going to be a typical 50s couple that this wedding suggests we're interested in being? Or are we going to be a 50-50 split right down the middle modern couple?
So do women really have an emotional bond to housekeeping?
Yes, well, I've written about that in the magazine before and gotten quite a lot of angry letters about that. But I do think that one of the reasons that women and men fight so much about housework is that women are really connected to how it's done. And the modern man, in this kind of untraditional married life that we have now, he's very often willing to do his half. What he doesn't realize is that she wants him to do it in a very certain way, that she really can't let go of that housekeeping as much as she thinks that she can. And so he'll do the laundry but leave everything in the dryer to get wrinkled, and he'll feel like a hero because he helped her out, and she'll come home and be absolutely furious and think I should have just done it myself.
So what's happening in married couples' bedrooms these days?
Well, I do include a chapter about this current phenomenon of sexless marriages. I think that the last thing that modern sexually liberated women of my generation, ever thought we would inherit from these repressed 50s housewives was their attitude towards sex. And I think what's happened is that the sexual revolution has unintentionally brought us a crisis of sort in married life. It used to be that sexuality was contained within marriage and that women had a sense of sexual obligation or wifely duty to their husbands, and that sort of regulated frequency of some sort or expectation. And now I think that's lost, and a lot of women feel very sad about that, as well as bitter about their husband's ceaseless requests for sex, is what they tell me. And so I wrote about that in a chapter with the old 50s expression, the wifely duty.
Caitlin, who will To Hell with All That appeal to most?
I think the women who are struggling with making the right decisions and balance and juggling between the idea of a job and the idea of being home with children. And also the woman who's staying home and has given up her work and maybe feels that the world has passed her by. I think both of those women will find things in the book that will help them to see things in their lives that maybe they hadn't seen before.
The book is To Hell with All That by Caitlin Flanagan. Not only moms, but women and even men will re-examine their relationships and their roles in society after reading this. It's funny, honest, and explosive. So pick up your copy today. Until next time, I'm James Michael Tyler. Goodbye.
Hiring a nanny for your children is a little bit like choosing a girlfriend for your husband.